Good morning, and today we are going to talk about Week 5 lecture of English 123. This begins part 2 of our 8-week lecture series, and this is the start of your final project, which is where we begin our research and submit an annotated bibliography. So this week you're going to be thinking about what would you like to do your research project on, which will become the major assignment you're working on for the next 4 weeks. And it will become also your final exam for this class. There's 2 assignments due this week. You have a small reading quiz for 10 points, and you have your annotated bibliography due for 100 points. The rest of it is just all of your pre-work, your brainstorming, your getting your research done for your research project. As you can see here, this is where you're going to find your lecture, and you have a series of small videos and web sources for how to help you do your research. Your reading quiz will be found here, and this is all based on your Writer's Brief Handbook reading assignment about writing in the disciplines. Your journal entry is where you're going to start here. This journal entry is not due until a couple of more weeks from now, but you're going to start working on it now, and you're going to start submitting it now. Little by little, you're going to brainstorm, you're going to write down your ideas as they develop for your research project. You are going to do an entry for your thesis statement here, and I need to see that as soon as you have come up with your thesis statement, the point that you intend to prove. Please make sure you do an entry for that and submit it so that I can make sure you're on the right track. Structuring your essay is going to be essentially your outline, and then if you want to submit a rough draft, that's fine, but once you do your peer editing and your smart thinking feedback, you'll submit that as your final entries. So writing in the disciplines, this is the chapter you're going to read in your Writer's Brief Handbook, and this is where your quiz is going to come from. So I have pointed out for you the things that you're going to want to pay particular attention to when doing your reading. You want to make sure and know the difference between primary and secondary sources, okay, when doing research. You want to understand what it means to analyze text, and you want to look at the various methods of documentation. Within the disciplines of studying in college, we have literature and language, humanities, social sciences, and the natural and applied sciences. So pay particular attention in your reading to what are the various types of documentation methods necessary and utilized within each of these humanities, as these are going to be things that you'll see on your quiz. All right, so we're going to talk about your research paper. There's a document here called Frequently Asked Questions, and I think this is a really good snapshot to help you with what am I doing? What on earth is this giant research paper supposed to be about? I know you're all probably freaked out right about now, so I want you to relax and understand that this class is just piece by piece. When you look at the whole thing, it's overwhelming. When you look at it just 1 week at a time or one particular assignment at a time, you can do it. So the first question is, what does discipline-specific mean, this discipline-specific research paper? Discipline-specific means relative to your major of your area of study at CBU. Okay, so I would like for you to pick something related to your major. Perhaps we can be a little bit flexible in that we can branch out and connect it to your future career area of that you're pursuing, but I would like it to be relative to either your future career or connected to the discipline you're studying in, your major. So what kind of argument am I going to make? This is going to be an expository assignment like you've been doing all quarter, and it is going to be an aspect of an argumentative assignment. So you're either going to do a position paper, okay, kind of like you did in week 2, where you argued a position. You were either for something or against something, and there was an opposing side. Perhaps you're going to speculate about what's causing something to happen. Okay, we are just in the midst of working on finishing up our problem and solution papers, so this is an aspect of that. You know, talk about a problem or an issue and what's causing it. Okay, you can dig deep on this one about all of the different things that cause this situation. You can do another problem and solution paper. You can talk about the effects of a situation. Okay, perhaps this one, the cause and effect, you could do these together. You can do an evaluation. Perhaps you want to look at a model of some sort of a model of business or a model of healthcare, and you want to evaluate it. What works, what doesn't work, the pros and the cons. A literary analysis. Perhaps this applies to writing majors, English majors. You want to do a deep literary analysis. And then as far as our criteria to evaluate the assignment, we're going to look at these things. How well do you engage within your discipline? How well are you arguing your cause? The quality and the depth of your research and support when you're supporting your points. Do you address your counterarguments? And is your essay organized and well written? The next question asks, can I build upon the work that I've done from essays 1 or 2? And the answer to that is yes. It's a good idea, but I want to be very clear that you don't want to just duplicate the assignments that you've already done. Okay? You had your arguing a position paper and you had your problem and solution essay. If you want to stay within that same topic, as long as it relates to your major or your career area, you could. But I need you to take a whole different perspective, maybe make a new argument, have a new aspect to the assignment. Okay, we don't want to simply duplicate what you've already done and what's already been graded. You want to utilize that same research, that's okay, but please make sure what else can you do that's fresh and different related if you do want to stick with that same topic. And then the last question says, what if I'm an undeclared major? If you don't know, you go ahead and just pick something, go with whatever you think. I don't think there's anybody in our class that's undeclared at this point, but if so, that's a conversation that you and I can have. Okay, so this is your big assignment for this week, your annotated bibliography. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to do your research and you're going to come up with 10 sources and you're going to make bibliographic entries and write a short paragraph for each one. Okay? At least one of your sources needs to be a credible book. It can be a chapter book or an essay or an excerpt from a book. And at least one source must be an article from a scholarly journal. It can be either electronic or paper form. These entries need to be in MLA or APA format, and I'm pretty sure we're good with that by now, but there's of course a lot of different reminders and help for what to do when looking for how to put those in the right order. So these are the components that you need to include in your annotation. An overall summary of the source, a couple of key examples, and then a statement or 2 statements or 3, how it is that you intend to use this source in your research paper. Okay? The evaluation, the grading will be based on whether you have your correct documentation, your works cited is in proper order, if these are good, strong, solid, credible sources, and if you include these 3 elements here. Okay? You can include short quotes if you want to paraphrase and put things in your own words, that's okay, but if you want to use keywords and quotes, you are welcome to do that. So here you see an example of what each of your 10 annotations are going to look like. So you've got your works cited source here, and it's kind of indicated in bold so that it stands out, and then you have a brief write-up in this chapter, and it goes on to explain what it's about, and then your comment on the end. Overall, this piece gives background. It'll help me as okay? So that's what you're going to do. It's going to look like this. 10 times, because you're going to have at least 10 entries, and they are going to be listed in alphabetical order by author's last name, or if there's no author, it reverts to the title of the text. And so we're building upon your research paper. This is the foundation of all the research you're going to need for your big paper that you're going to write. Please take time to find good information, because if you don't and you just hurry through this and then you find that you have a lot of research you're not going to be able to use for your research paper, you're going to be back to square one trying to find good research to do your paper. So take the time now, find some good research, and then you'll have a lot of the legwork done for you as you write your paper. In the end, after you do all your annotation, you go through your research, if you find that you've got some material that's just not going to work, that's okay. You can swap out and substitute and get a couple more sources later. And just so that you can see where this is heading. I'm a big picture kind of person. I want to see what the bigger picture looks like, what lies ahead. I'm just going to show you for now what's due by the end of the class. Okay, with your research you're doing now for your annotated bibliography, you are going to use it to write a 10 to 12 page argumentative paper as your final exam. Okay, it's related to your topic of your field of study or major. You're going to come up with a research question and then you're going to answer it in the form of a 10 to 12 page paper. Okay, so perhaps you're going to solve a problem, you're going to evaluate something, you're going to compare and contrast something, you're going to write a problem and solution, whatever it is you want to do. And we can always have our private conversations, our emails, and our discussions to talk about what you think is going to work best for you and your major. So this is going to be a 10 to 12 page paper, at least your 10 sources, which you're doing this week, your works cited page, and you're also going to be available or welcome to do alternate sourcing later if you feel like you want to do a research, an interview with someone, or you find some other printed sources like brochures or pamphlets or a website, something that you're not going to be able to use for your annotated bibliography. You can use that as alternative sourcing in your final paper. And in conclusion, your tips for success: you want to make sure that you proofread all of your assignments carefully before you submit. And please don't hesitate to go back to your St. Martin's Guide and your Writer's Brief Handbook to reference, am I doing this right? What do I need to do? What order do I put this in? Make sure your works cited is listed in alphabetical order. And of course, as always, please don't hesitate to ask me if you have any questions or you need help. I hope you have a very good week, and I look forward to seeing these assignments from you. God bless.